Hello, this is Pixel Freak, and I wanted to just drop some strategies here on beating Reaper, the Tale of the Pale Swordsman. So you can see there I'm 19 on the leaderboards currently. That'll probably change very shortly because I probably won't be playing this game very much longer. But I was a little bit dismayed about how this game was designed at the end. Now, Iraess is a level, just like any of the other levels. It kind of ends the whole quest line of the game. And if you've been playing the game at all, you realize that when you lose a level, you can't ever actually move on. You can't go back and go to the shop or go fight something else and level up to try to beat that level a different way. You actually have to keep fighting it until you win. Well, that's kind of a disadvantage, and even though Hexage has put a mechanic into the game where the level can get progressively easier as you lose over and over again, it still creates a frustrating game as opposed to a challenging one. I would rather not see the level get easier and easier. I'd rather see the player have to go and level up and gain some new skills or some new equipment and then come back. Iraess is just like that, and unfortunately with Iraess, it's such a huge challenge increase that if you're not the right level, you can just get sucked into this fight. I, instead of getting stuck in that trap, made a titanium backup of the game save right before I went into the fight, and so I fought Iraess a couple times and decided that was a bad idea. Leveled up about 3 or 4 levels, bought some new equipment, and then came back, and it still took me about 6 or 7 times to beat the boss. So strategies for beating Iraess, I think the whirlwind attack is paramount. You're really going to need that. That's going to be able to do the most damage, and unfortunately Iraess's defense is so high, you're only going to be doing in the low 20s or high teens with each hit you do anyways. I beat Iraess with 3 out of 5 of my whirlwinds upgraded. I started out with 2, but I got another level up. I really wish I would have had 5. It would have made the fight a lot easier. Another thing you're going to want to have higher than normal defense, just because there's all this stuff that's going to be unavoidable for you to hit. So you just need to have high defense. Your strength doesn't matter as much, I find, because basically what you normally hit on normal guys is going to be divided by 10. So your strength is not just a few hit points here and there. It's not going to make as big of a difference as, say, your defense, where you're trying to dodge things. So specific attacks, Iraess kind of walks back and forth, spits this pink goo out, and then a gem with a halo, or a fireball with a halo, comes out of her forehead, and then a fireball that bounces comes out of each hand. Now the fireballs that bounce, they do very little damage. They don't really stop you, they kind of make you shake a little bit. The ones with the halo, those ones are going to give you blowback, and you have to be very careful about not being next to the fire pits or on the wrong side of the haloed fireball, to where the fireball will blow you into the fire pit, because that'll take off a little bit of your health. It's another skill that you might want to consider grabbing if you see it, is the skill to make you lose less health when you fall into a fire pit. You're probably going to have that happen once or twice every time you fight Iraess. So for most of the things that hit you, the bouncing fireballs shouldn't matter. You shouldn't even consider them. Who cares if they hit you? Whatever. They barely even phase you. Right there, you just saw me jitter from one. The ones with halos, it's okay that they hit you. They don't hit you too hard. It's something between like 5 or 10 damage. It's not horrible, but it's not great. You shouldn't try to avoid those at all costs, but you should try to avoid them when they're not strategically or well placed. If it's going to blow you back into the fire pit, you should try to dodge. If it's going to blow you into a whole bunch more of them, like there's a pack of 5 of them around, you should also try to dodge that one. But mostly, if one's going to hit you, not that big of a deal. Now, one of the cool things I was able to do in these last few times that I fought her before I actually won is you can actually, with regular attacks, get right up alongside her, and she'll kind of coast towards you, and you just have to stand there, touching nothing, and you'll hit her several times. Now, you do have to worry that every time that she does that spit move and releases a gem, she also releases a pulse around the center of her head, and if you're hitting her at the time, right there, just hit me, that pulse will knock you back, similar to the way the haloed fireballs work. So you need to be aligned properly when that pulse goes off, or just not even be on her. So right here you can see I got a good run going where I was doing normal attacks, and she was still kind of coming at me, and I just rode her backwards and keep hitting her. In that position, usually you can get some significant damage going. Now the problem with the whirlwind, it works really well in the very beginning of the fight, but later on in the fight when there's so much going on the screen, you get knocked down pretty quickly, so it's not quite as effective. You might want to do some of those normal attacks. More or less though, this is just a wait game. This is just a retry and retry. There we go, I just won. Until you finally beat her. You might have to employ some luck with resurrections and hope that you get resurrected twice. It's going to be a close fight no matter what you do, but there's not a whole lot that you can do in terms of primary strategies to make sure that you'll win. There's just too much going on the screen. You're going to get hit some. You just have to learn to dodge the right things at the right time and know when to dash through Iraess to avoid falling into the pits or whatnot. So once you do win, using some of those strategies that I just mentioned, you have to go fight one more fight. The person that gave you the quest to go kill Iraess, there's an army there, and you have to go wipe them out. Luckily, this fight, it's a little bit difficult, I guess, but I beat it in the first shot. You'll just see me live play through it right here. It should, if you've been grinding in any way at all, this will be an easy fight for you. Not that big of a deal. And you see me just tear right through it. But mostly, the end of this game really annoyed me. I was very disappointed with it. It doesn't impact the review score that I gave it. I still really like this game, but I'd really like to see Hexage fix this. I want to see them allow you to exit the boss fight, because I feel that the boss fight's just far too hard. For the average player is going to give up on that for sure. If I wasn't trying to do a video on this, I wouldn't have beat the boss. I would have just walked away. I wasn't that invested in this game to start with, but I wanted to explain how to do it, and so I continued to play the game until I won. They need to do that. They also need to make more content for this game. They need to make it so it's easier to grind. I really, really wish that there was more stuff for me to do. I hear that there's a level cap, I think, of 60 based on the achievement that you get when you hit 60. The problem is that once you beat this level and you have killed Iraess, you'll see here in a second, you run out of things to do. There's nothing left. All you can do is wander back and forth until you get into another random encounter and then fight that fight. Now you can level up to 60 that way, but that's really, really boring. And if you paid more money too, there's also some additional features that you can use. This is kind of the end of the game here. No real credits or anything. There's the Torkin arena that you can fight, but there's only a limited amount of times that you can use that. I think they need to fix that. I think that is a horrible mechanic that they have right now, where it's something that you paid extra for. It's this arena thing where you can make extra gold by fighting over and over, but eventually the quest goes away and you just can't use the Torkin arena anymore. I think that's cheap. You paid for it, you should still have it there infinitely, whatever. The armor was another thing that kind of bothered me. You pay for 2 different sets of extra armor that randomly shows up in the shop. Now the first set I ran into and I saw almost the entire set. I actually own some of it. The second set doesn't appear until when you're higher level, after you've beat the boss, when you're just wandering the forest. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, at least to me, that even exists, because why would you want it there? You can never use it. So I paid for a feature there that I just never am able to use. The extra quests that come out of the dark something or other, those are pretty cool. They give you extra experience. Unfortunately, I have to pay a little bit of gold to get those quests, but because of the extra experience, it's really nice to use that to gain some levels fast. And there, you see that in the right-hand side of the screen right there. That's those extra quests there. So some of the paid features I felt in the wilderness mode were kind of a rip, because you never really got to see them, and I think they're just kind of designed poorly. So I'd like to see them go back and fix some of those things, but overall, the end of the game, it was okay. I'll probably play this game a little bit more before I close it out, but I'm hoping that Hexage will update it, fix some of these things, and I hope that this guide beating Iraess was helpful to some people out there. I hope that people are able to beat her now after watching some strategies and watching me win. So make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and until next time, this has been Pixel Freak.